If you're looking to stir up some of that spicy drama that historical wargaming is really known for, you can be sure that mentioning metal models in a public forum would be the equivalent of kicking the hornet's nest. Many wargaming enthusiasts have strong feelings one way or the other about metal miniatures. But why? Let's take a closer look at this divisive topic with a little help from our friends over at May40 Miniatures. When I first started this channel, metal miniatures was the name of my game. I liked that they were unique, either because the army they represented did not have any plastic options, like Romania for instance, or because the plastic options were very prolific, as is the case with Japan. Even as I shifted my focus to kit bashing and converting, I was doing a lot of this work with metal models. However, once I expanded the scale of my kit bashing, like doing a whole army's worth of it, my metal models were pushed to the wayside. And at this point, it's been years since I've done serious work with metal models. Just as I was noticing that there was a hole in my heart that plastic could never fill,
they have found microplastics in our blood. They studied blood samples from 22 healthy adults.
May40 Miniatures stepped in to save the day. May40 specializes in beautifully hand-sculpted metal models for the campaigns the Dutch army were involved in during World War II, on both the Western and Pacific fronts. While we are going to take a close look at these models, let's first discuss the merits of metal miniatures for bolt action. For starters, I want to work with the notion that plastic models are more user-friendly than metals. I mean, sure, metal kits can be more difficult to work with than plastic ones, but check this out. While your friends and family are cutting out multiple pieces for their plastic minis, gluing them on, and waiting for them to dry, most metal miniatures just need to be glued to the base, and they are ready for painting. You will need super glue for this, but even that dries quickly and helps to get your minis on the table faster. Secondly, and I fully admit that there is a nostalgic heartstring that plays like a harp when holding metal miniatures, is that metal miniatures have a nice weight to them and really feel like game pieces. Some may say that this weight, and the pewter material itself, causes the paint on the mini to chip easier. And while I admit that this can be true, it's not as prolific as you may think. Just make sure to wash your miniatures in hot soapy water to remove any release agent that is left over from the mold. Use a dedicated primer to help the paint adhere to the miniature. I mean, you should do this for plastic miniatures too. And apply a protective varnish on your completed mini. I like to use a matte varnish to unify all the surfaces of the miniature and also to prevent chipping. Now, if you drop your metal miniatures onto a concrete floor, or transport them to and fro your local gaming store by throwing them haphazardly into a cardboard box, you'll probably get some chipping. But these can always be touched up. And finally, metal miniatures give you easy access to units, armies, and nations that aren't mainstream enough to have costly plastic molds produced for them. While 3D printing is becoming a good alternative, most wargaming enthusiasts still don't have access to a 3D printer, or are put off by many of the STLs that are available. For bolt action, many of the minor nations have zero plastic options at all, and even within existing plastic ranges there can be gaps for specific units and time periods. But I'm sure you are watching this on your phone in bed next to your sleeping significant other and you are screaming, "But do you have any examples?" I do. May40 Miniatures sent me over 3 blisters to examine. Like I said, they focus on units that are either Dutch or fought against the Dutch in World War II. For the Western Front, they gave me 2 examples, German Fallschirmjäger and Early War SS. Now both of these branches are available in plastic. However, their uniforms, kit, and weapons are suited for later in the war, like 1943 and beyond. These models give you a period-accurate representation for the invasion of the Netherlands in 1940. The SS models are equipped with early war MP-28 submachine guns and uniforms. The Fallschirmjäger set represents the engineers that parachuted into the Eben Amel fortification in Belgium, but they have a whole line of Fallschirmjägers properly uniformed and equipped for the early war combat drops they performed. Again, no assault rifles, no camo smocks, just right for the early war. But the miniatures I'm really excited to get my hands on are these from May40's newest range, the KNIL. This is the first miniature line in 28mm that represents the Royal Netherlands East Indies Army, who took on the Japanese invading Dutch-held territories in the Pacific. I'm a big fan of putting underrepresented armies and theaters onto the table, and these KNIL models really fit the bill. Let's get a couple examples of these models painted up and do a final review. First of all, these models were a joy to paint. The sculpts are nice and crisp, and there aren't any details that get lost, like disappearing straps or webbing. The models are heroically scaled, which means that there aren't really any delicate pieces. The rifle barrels and swords are chunky enough to withstand use on the table. I actually dropped a Fallschirmjäger model from standing height, and the barrel bent just a little bit, but I was able to straighten it no problem. The KNIL models are slightly bulkier and seem to have bigger heads than the German models, but I think this is a plus as they'll fit a little bit better with other model ranges. Overall, I'm really impressed with the detail and practicality of these miniatures. The KNIL especially give you a chance to have a unique tabletop force, with the bright green of their uniforms being a nice contrast to the usual drab or khaki colored forces associated with the Second World War. If you'd like to check out May40 Miniatures, I've put a link to their website and some of their global retailers in the description below. And if you're looking to get into a unique army, but have been skeptical of metal miniatures, I hope this has given you insight into what they are actually like, and the value they bring to our hobby. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and leave a like on this video and subscribe. It really helps the channel and allows me to produce more content. We'll see you all next time.